Hey folks, Blackcross here, and welcome back to another discussion video. If you hadn't heard the news, I'm going to tell you right now. This past Saturday, well not just we, but gamers actually had the opportunity to see a live event. Square Enix decided to release a live talk event about their latest game known as Final Fantasy 15. Basically releasing progress report, telling small details and everything like that. Well, what was in it was actually gameplay footage of the game itself. And after watching it, there's a couple things that I wanted to kind of point out. But first of all, I'm going to go ahead and show you the actual gameplay footage that they showed at the event. And if you want to check out more about the details and everything like that, you can check it out in the description below. It is from Polygon. But I saw this and I was like, I kind of want to talk about it. So let's go ahead and look at the video first.
待て。静か。やり過ごせたか。油断するなよ。了解。
Pretty interesting, huh? Okay, I think that's enough for now. Okay, so what have we learned from this footage? Well, some of us probably remember the gameplay footage from back in 2013, whenever Square Enix finally decided to drop the big bomb that they're making Final Fantasy 15, aka Final Fantasy Versus 13. The gameplay footage back then It didn't really show much. Well, back then it did show a lot. But compared to this one, it didn't really show a lot in terms of combat. For example, last time that it was shown at E3 2013, it on the bottom left-hand corner, it showed basically the weapons that he had. And the way that I had it in my mind, you scrolled with the D-pad on the left or the right, and you scrolled as to which weapon you were going to be using. And that's what I thought was going to be used. I figured that's how Notch's combat system was going to be used, based on. Because he has the ability to use multiple different weapons, and the way it seemed like you could use these weapons in mid-combat. As we learned from Final Fantasy XV Episode Dusea, it turns out that's quite the opposite. You don't actually switch weapons in mid-combat manually. You do automatically. Where in the menu you can set the weapons into certain points in the combo itself. Like if you wanted to start out using the Buster Sword, you could set it up as a normal combat. As like a lunging attack, you can set it up for like the dagger. Or if you just wanted to set it for like as a warp ability, you could set the spear to where you can lunge it, and then that way you'd be warped right there in the attack. Not to say that's bad, it's just I thought that you would be able to use different weapons in any form of way without having to set up any type of system. Instead, it looked like you had to set it up in that form of way. Now with this new gameplay trailer though, or new gameplay footage, it seems as if we have a different ideal. It seems like they're going back to the ideal that I was originally thinking that they were going for back in 2013, where you actually scrolled through your weapons with the D-pads, but instead of just 2 of them, it's going to be used as all 4 of them. Something else too to take notice as well. Throughout the gameplay itself, you actually do switch not only from the 4 weapons, but you also got to switch up to where you could use your magic, as he's shown when he got ready to finish off that boss enemy mech. He instantly used fire and throwed it at the oil, and it caused basically a giant combustion. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that the gameplay in this one, in comparison to what we have seen thus far, it has improved tremendously, and I cannot believe as to how well it has done for itself and how well it looks right now. The combat system actually is a lot more fluid and a lot more responsive if you've seen it. There also seems to be portions of the game, just like in Episode Dusea, where you actually get to sneak around in the game itself. Very few Final Fantasy games have actually done this concept of sneaking around, and it being a successful sneak. Let's put it that way. And with this looks really good, and it looks really, really promising. You know, we're not really sure of the story yet. We only know for a fact that Notch and his crew went on some trip or a mission, whichever one you want to take, and their car got totaled. They had to take it in for repairs. They had to get Gil. They had to hunt down a monster, kill it, collect the bounty, and then get their car fixed. That's all that we actually knew. We didn't know if they were actually on a trip or if they were on a mission. And this clip kind of tells me that they were actually on a mission. What kind of mission? I don't know. I'm hoping that whenever we start playing Final Fantasy 15, we'll actually know a little bit more detail as to like what was going on in between the I want to call it the beta gameplay, but I don't think that's properly how it should be said. but between episode Dusea and Final Fantasy 15 itself. I kind of like to know what's going on. But, you know, it's probably a good saying that Square Enix isn't revealing too much. But the game itself, I tell you, every single time I look at footage of what Square Enix has done for the game, it makes me think more and more I cannot wait for them to make the announcement. As for the announcement itself, they're going to be holding a private viewing in March 30th in Los Angeles, and it's going to be strictly for Final Fantasy 15, I believe. What time they're going to announce it? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let me check Polygon real quick. Yeah, says Uncovered Final Fantasy 15 will be held in Los Angeles on March 30th at 7 p.m. PT? I'm not sure what PT means, but it says March 30th at 7... Oh, Pacific Time. That's what PM stands for. Pacific Time. 7 p.m. Now, I don't know what that confers to in other countries or in other parts of the United States, because Pacific Time is different from Easter Time. Let me go ahead and look it up real quickly, so that way I kind of know. 7 p.m. Pacific Time is actually 10 p.m. Easter Time, so it's actually going to be shown pretty late, actually. For me, anyway. For other countries, I think it's going to be a little bit later or a little bit earlier. I don't know. You let me know what the time frame is for other countries and everything like that. But Final Fantasy 15, it's going to be interesting day. It's going to be one of those days of where it's like, when it finally happens, shit's going to blow. Because Square Enix has 3 of the most anticipated games of all times in their belt right now. They've got a lot riding on them. They've got Final Fantasy 15, then they've got Kingdom Hearts 3, then they finally blew the water last year, that they're making Final Fantasy 7 Remake. And we're getting one of them. And if they're going to release the announcement date, I still think that it's going to be released in August or September of this year. To me, I think that's the perfect time frame for any of the mainstream Final Fantasy games. Any side story or stuff like that, they usually can release it anywhere they want to. But for mainstream Final Fantasy games, and I could be wrong, maybe I need to look that up and see if I may be incorrect on the idea of that. But it seems to me that all of the previous Final Fantasy games have been released during this time frame. And I think if they're going to announce it in March, they're going to have it released that time. That way it gives them time to product the product itself. They have enough time to have for the announcement, and they have enough time for players to probably pre-order the game itself. Now, I don't know if they're going to do anything special in terms of pre-orders. I say the only special thing that they'll do is the strategy guide. I know Final Fantasy 13 was like that. But I don't know. I mean, 15 is a big game right now. I think what Square Enix needs to do, and I doubt they'll do it, but considering Final Fantasy 15 is such a hyped game, I think they should at least try it. Have it offered that if you do a pre-order, and it can be exclusively from Square Enix, it can be straight through Square Enix, it doesn't have to be through GameStop or Amazon, it can be through the Square Enix website itself only. Have it set up to where you have to pre-order it from Square Enix's main website, pre-order the game, and have the exclusive, not so exclusive, but an early access to be able to get the Notch action figure. They've got that finished. I know they do, because they showed it last year at the Tokyo Game Show. And they showed him along with the other three characters, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladys. And Notch is complete. Notch is complete. I know for the past couple of years I saw the Notch figure, and they still had him in the prototype stage. Last year they showed him off and he looked finished, so chances are they've got him ready for the production line. But I think that they could have the ideal going that if they do a pre-order exclusive to Square Enix, that they can sell the figure. Now, price range wise, because of the fact that you got the game and then the figure itself, the figures in Square Enix tend to run from like 80 to 100 sometimes, so don't get too greedy on the ideal of it's going to be cheap. I think 150, 160 is a good price range. You know, $149.99 or $159.99. I think that's a good price range to do it in, because it's Notch. He's the main character, right? If you want to, you can sell the separate other three characters whenever they get done, and then they can have their own releases, and then you can price them however you think. I think the perfect price range to put these figures is about probably 80 to 100. I think anyway, because you gotta remember, these aren't just regular figures. These are play art figures, so they're kind of on the pricey side, but the reason why is because they're detailed. They're very detailed. And I might do a discussion video on that one, actually. I should have done it last year, but I never did. But, you know, let me know in the comments below what you thought about the new gameplay footage for Final Fantasy 15. And are you excited for the game? Because I've heard there's a lot of people that are a little bit worried. Personally, I don't think there's a reason to be worried. We've seen enough gameplay footage. We've seen enough to know that it's going to deliver. It's going to be promising. But I can't understand why people are worried. You know, there are some people who want the turn-based system, and that's kind of fading out and everything like that, and that's understandable, it is. But because of today's gaming, it seems like action RPGs are the way to go now. They're a lot more active-based, they're a lot more challenging, I think, and you do a lot more in them. Whereas in turn-based, you are limited to certain stuff. Now, I guess if they were to keep a turn-based system, they still could keep everything else. But that's to say, what if Square Enix did it one way? But who knows, really, right? Anyway, though, I wanted to go ahead and talk about this for a quick moment and kind of give you an idea as to all the things that has been going on and my personal opinions on it. So, hopefully, I'll see you in the next video. And until then, this is Black Cross signing off. Wishing you a wonderful day. Take care, guys.